Washington! It is so good to see you all.
Not that any of us needed another reason to absolutely adore beloved science educator Bill Nye, the science guy. But boy, oh boy, did we get one today, folks, with this humiliating story that Bill Nye exposed in an incredible Men's Health profile on him yesterday, where apparently Robert F. Kennedy Jr. bombarded Bill Nye with endless anti-vax text screeds. And I am so delighted to break down the entire hilarious saga for you in this video, as well as sharing some footage of Bill Nye just being an absolute stand-up guy, quite literally standing up for science and proving to so many, as he did to myself and so many others as we were kids, that science rules.
Bill Nye the Science Guy. Science rules.
So drop a like and subscribe for science, and if you enjoy some comforting content amid all the chaos. And let's start by noting that this is not the first time that Bill Nye has gone toe-to-toe with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the anti-vax, anti-science, make America healthy again moron in charge of our health and human services.
What I'm most worried about right now is management at both the Human and Health Services and Centers for Disease Control, and I guess, and then also National Institutes of Health. These people they're hiring people that don't take it seriously, have no knowledge, or just, for lack of a better term, just wacky. I mean, people who don't accept that germs mutate. Like this, we're here on Earth, everybody, and it's just extraordinary that how they found these people, these like-minded people who are undoing, pick a number, a couple centuries of medicine. It's really extraordinary.
In addition to that, Bill rebuked RFK Jr. previously over his vaccine views, saying there's only so much incompetence that Americans can put up with. And just a couple months ago at a summit talking about Kennedy, he said, quote, he's a guy who doesn't believe in vaccines. Dude, pasteurized milk? I mean, come on. This is a couple centuries old. I went to elementary school with a guy who had polio. You don't want polio. Polio, bad. That there's a guy who doesn't understand that is really something. And most people who believe in science can agree that that is rightful criticism, especially when you hear the absolutely insane lies that RFK keeps on telling about vaccines, like this one.
Secretary, while I have you, I do want to ask you about measles and vaccinations against measles. It's been the deadliest outbreak in this country in decades. Where do you stand on the measles vaccine? I just want to make sure I understand where you stand.
Listen, my agency has recommended that people take the vaccine to prevent the disease. There are many people in this country who won't take the vaccine for religious reasons. The MMR vaccine contains millions of particles that are derived from fetal tissue, millions of fragments of human DNA from aborted fetuses.
And a quick Google search shows that that is categorically false. The Global Center for Health Security says the MMR vaccine doesn't contain aborted fetus debris, as RFK Jr. has claimed, and provides the science behind it. But here's where things get really good, because as I said yesterday in this Men's Health profile, Bill Nye exposed, hilariously so I may say, RFK Jr.'s unyielding insanity, then Bill Nye just left him on red. This is an absolutely incredible profile. Hang on, he says, searching. The sun glints off the iPhone's glass. Nye, who is almost 70, just finished playing a loose round of disc golf. Because you're wondering, he does not wear his signature bow tie when playing disc golf. He finds what he's looking for and holds up his phone. This is real, he says. It's an old text chain, but all the texts are from the other person. Miles and miles of texts, long messages with links, and few interruptions, screen after screen. Nye is showing not so much the content of the text as the volume. He says, that's Bobby Kennedy Jr. Nye is laughing at the sheer prolificness of texting from the man who is now the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Nye had been connected to Kennedy by their mutual friend, Ed Begley Jr., the actor who met Kennedy many years ago when Kennedy was a normal Kennedy championing environmental causes. Just no self-awareness, he says. And if you read these articles he sent, they're all this speculation about autism and just cause and effect and mercury in vaccines that maybe there's a connection connection. I wrote him back and said, okay, I'll read your book. I think you've confused causation with correlation, your friend Bill. And he sent this. More miles of text. So I wrote, okay, no more text, and he started again. So I cut him off. He does not have good judgment. He is not suited for this job. Nye shakes his head, fired up by the disrespect for science oozing from the RFK Jr opus he's holding in his hand, and then he really gets going, talking louder now. There's an outbreak of measles in Texas. Did you hear about this? It was a religious sect that has historically low vaccination rates, and the argument from the other side is they have rights not to get vaccinated. No, you don't. And unvaccinated people can, and usually do, spread a disease. And that's why we have these rules for public health. It's not arbitrary. It's not about your rights. It's about my rights, people. He goes on and he talks about the polio thing that we talked about earlier, and then says, so furthermore, there's a real subtle problem. There is a certain tiny fraction of people who get polio from the vaccine, but that is so rare. And it's not true of measles. I'm of a certain age. You got measles, you got chickenpox, you got what used to be called German measles, now it's called rubella, and you would go through that. You'd be sick and out of school, and everybody understood that's what you were doing for 5 days, and your parents had to stay home from work. And by inventing these vaccines, you don't have to do that. So let's look at it this way. Now the parents can go to work and pay taxes. There you go. Isn't that good? They don't miss a day of work. They're more productive. And then this thing where people want to drink raw milk. No, you don't. This is very well understood. Louis Pasteur, you guys, what is happening? And so, folks, yet again, Bill Nye continues to bring me absolute joy in his fight for science and against MAGA stupidity. But to end this on an even higher note, I'd like to conclude with just a part of Bill Nye's speech at the Stand Up for Science 2025 rally in Washington, D.C. If you enjoyed the coverage and the video, please drop a like, subscribe, and join our resistance here. Help us get to 600,000 strong. And let's all commit to standing up for science like Bill Nye.
We are gathered to insist that our lawmakers stand up for science. The framers of the U.S. Constitution made sure to include Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8. Congress is to promote the progress of science and useful arts. Useful arts would be an 18th century expression for what nowadays we would call engineering. Using science to solve problems and make things. These constitutional ideas have helped make this country great. A world leader in innovation as well as in the rule of law. World, science cannot be suppressed. And so today, my friends, we demand that scientists not be censored, that there be legal safeguards to prevent political interference in their research, and that they be enabled to communicate their findings freely. Furthermore, we demand that all of us, the public, have access to scientific information. All the data, reports, and resources that were available before this president swore to uphold the U.S. Constitution in January of this year. This is our right. We paid for this science with our tax dollars. Every citizen, each of us, wants a better future for ourselves and for our families. Together we can and we must stand up for science. Thank you.